Good afternoon and welcome to AutoTradeSignal.com's update on the PriceSmoother indicator that we've just released. We're starting to get a lot of really positive and excited bits of feedback and testimony from people who are using it. And I wanted to show you a couple of things that PriceSmoother does that other moving averages and indicators do not. What we have here is a 5-minute candlestick chart of the ES contract. And what we see is early on in the day a little price movement down that waffled for a little bit around 1687 and then returned back up to about 1696 and went sideways for a little bit there. And sometimes whenever we see prices moving like this, it would be good to know as it takes a breather, wouldn't it be great to know what it's going to do? And so I wanted to show you what we can do with the PriceSmoother. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put on top of the price that we see here, the candlesticks, we're going to put PriceSmoother on top of that. We'll just put it in a black bar, make it kind of wide with the value of 6. And one of the things I want you to see here is that the PriceSmoother line, and this is using the closing prices, it doesn't have any delay or lag in the indicator. It smooths out the price fluctuations, but overlays the basic line of price almost exactly. And so what it does is it really removes the noise. And I wanted to compare this to some of the other moving averages that we have and that traders often use. And so what we're going to do is let's overlay on top of here. Let's put a 20 period moving average. And this is going to be, we'll put it in gold. And this is just a 20 period simple moving average that we see. And what we see is that as the PriceSmoother and the price bars make almost a little double dip there at the bottom, as they make a bottom and come back up, while the price has already turned and moved and started going up, the simple moving average is still coming down. And what we see is a dip in price. We also see a dip in the simple moving average, but it is delayed. In this case, the deepest part of the dip occurred about 9:45, and we don't see the dip in the SMA until about 10:45, an hour later. So when the SMA, the simple moving average, begins to turn around, price has already turned around and made its move in a different direction an hour ago. Now, some people will say, well, that's one of the downfalls of the simple moving average. But if you're a band trader, Bollinger Bands, Keltner Bands, things like this, you're going to be using that simple moving average in many cases to make those calculations. And so we see the simple moving average used quite a lot. Now, some people like the EMA or the exponential moving average. Let's put a same 20 period EMA right on top of this, and we'll plot it in red. What we see is that the bottom of the exponential moving average occurs a little bit sooner, a little bit quicker, about 10:30, but you're still 45 minutes delayed. And what we see is that the bottom of the EMA, which occurs right around in here, is still significantly delayed from the PriceSmoother bottom that follows the price along rather directly. And we see almost exactly the same thing if we use the WMA or the weighted moving average. Let's put a WMA on there, and let's pick a color of blue. We'll just put a blue WMA, and you see that the WMA has a bottom just slightly before really the EMA, but it's still delayed. Looks like about 10:25 here as opposed to 9:45 with the PriceSmoother. And so we see those things are all showing a delay. And even when price begins to move sideways up here starting around 12 o'clock noon, the moving averages don't begin to smooth out until about 1:30. So you have an hour and a half delay, because as the price movement slows down, the changes in the moving averages begin to slow down, and they don't come up here and make a right turn or a 45-degree angle like the price smoother does right here at 12 o'clock. They sort of ease on up and begin to flatten out about 1:30 or even 2 o'clock. So an hour and a half or 2 hours later, your moving average indicators are catching up. Now, some people, if you're pretty savvy, would say, well, that's why I use a special breed of indicator called the zero lag indicator. And as you might think, the zero lag indicator seeks to have as little lag as possible. But what we're going to see here, let's put a 20-period zero lag EMA right on top. Now, we see a couple of different things going on. We see that, in fact, the zero lag indicator has less lag than the others, but we still see right down there that the zero lag indicator has actually has a lag right there. We can compare it to the price, which has a bottom of about 945. The zero lag indicator has a bottom right here, is the zero lag bottom right around 1020. And so it's still more than half an hour delayed. And in fact, when the price smoother is coming back up, the zero lag indicator is still going down. Price is coming up right here at 10 o'clock. The price smoother is following price right along with it. Even the zero lag indicator is lagging. It does a better job than the other indicators, but even once the price smoother has flattened out along with price right after lunch, the zero lag indicator sort of overshoots here and then comes back and flattens out right around 12:45 or so during lunch. And so if you are using the zero lag indicator as a signal, you might have erroneously thought that this was a reversal, when in fact the price smoother shows you that price is just going flat right here. And so this is something that is very interesting and very, very helpful to traders who use any kind of moving average in their trading, but also allows you to dial in different amounts of smoothing without causing a delay in the major peaks and valleys of the price action. What I wanted to do here is just take you through sort of a progression. We're going to start with not very much smoothing on the indicator right here, and you can see that it preserves some of the jagged peaks and things like this, and some of the pullbacks right here. But as we begin to dial in progressively greater amounts of smoothing, what we'll see is that those little peaks are removed, and it begins to follow more of the line of just the price. Now we can continue to dial in even more and more smoothing to the price, and what you'll see is that the little ripples in the price action begin to flatten out. In other words, it begins to be just basically a flat line, as if you were just following the average overall contour of the price. We give it a little chance to update here and recalculate, and you can see that over time it simply is removing more and more of the jagged lines. But look here, even here it has the double dip right here, and so it goes flat and smooths out this little pullback right here, but it still basically follows right along where price is without introducing a delay. And so I wanted to provide that as an input to people, because if you use any kind of moving average, whether you use a triple moving average crossover, you use the MACD, we're going to be making some information MACD being a moving average convergence divergent. If you use any kind of bands, Bollinger Bands, Keltner Bands, those are deviations around a central line, and the middle line in those bands is a moving average. And so I wanted you to be aware of that and let you know what new developments that we have here that can completely, if you want to, remove the noise without any delay. And that's really where the value is. There's no delay in this indicator in the price action.